morning, everyone. Here's my new project. I've built several of these in the past. I've never got to film it, unfortunately, but just the end result. Now these ones, they're gonna have these lugs. They're not gonna have these lugs, and they're gonna be stackable. So we're gonna build up, we're gonna have pine cones on this end with some HSS on top on this frame, and some removable and stackable some loose posts here. This end is going to be open, this end is going to be open, so when they load up all their product in here like so, the idea is to come in here with the forklift and pick up another set of frames and stack them on top. So all these open ends will go into all these pine cones here. So I'm getting the pine cones machined. I got all the material, all the steel, figured out all my dimensions. A little bit of design work here because this is a drawing for the ones that are, again, for these ones, but because we're making them different, it was actually quite a lot of work to try to figure all that out and get all these degrees and the cut angles, and then anyways, and length and all that stuff. So that's it.
Okay, so all the material is cut. We figured out the lengths, we figured out the angles. It was kind of tough to do that. We have to cut one and fit it and recut it several times. And I've already built a frame, and you kind of see part of the frame is there, the other one's outside. So now we're gonna actually, we're still gonna tack it, because I'm not sure if when the cones and when the frames they go to stack on each other, they're gonna work or not. So I'm getting the cones machined. So we have to wait for those, and then we got the plates here. We can cut everything. So right now we're going to fit the bottom part of the frame. Again, we're only going to tack it together. Then we're going to put the back side of the frame together. We're going to tack it together. I'm going to get the force. We're going to move it out, and we're going to do the same to the other frame. Then we're going to cut the loose posts that have the pine cone and to actually make everything sit. So stack together. So right now we're just going to fit and do a little bit of fitting here. So let's do it.
Alright, so what I'm doing here is I got all my material cut. I'm just getting all my gear on, doing a little bit of light deburring, and then I'll be welding the end caps on one of the pieces here shortly. So there I am, cleaning up the gun, fitting the end cap, just a corner to corner fit, tack one side, weld the other side, flip it welded to make the overall piece 6 feet, which is how long these frames are. And then just do a bit of light deburring, and then as well as take the chips off from the saw from the material, and then yeah, just go and fit this together. I've sped this up about 8 times. This is the max. My program speeds everything up, so hopefully it won't get too long and too boring here. But yeah, so here I am, kind of grinding two sides flat, because it's got to sit on the blocks to make sure it doesn't sit on the weld or anything like that. Just to grind a little bit flat, putting that piece aside. That's going to be the last one to go on. And again, like I said here, I'm just deburring, getting rid of the saw chips from all the cutting and things. And then we're going to put blocks on and kind of go from there.
I have to build it on shims because it falls in between the slots. It's only 2-inch HSS, so it's not 3-inch like it was before. So that's why I got to build it on shims, because it might fall on the slots here, and then it might not be square. So. talking about. Here, it's falling in between this fucking groove here, so it's gonna hard to clamp it to kind of keep it from doing this. That's why I gotta build it on shims. It's very important. I'm checking for, because these have angles on them, right? So the angle has to be pointing down, is what I call it. So the angle, sharp corner is gonna be, long corner is gonna be out. So these posts have to come in this way, basically. That's why I'm doing this. So these ones have to lean this way, and this angle has to go down. So it's kind of like they're going in a counterclockwise direction there. So I'm looking for, that's very important that they do that in order for everything to line up. Because these have to, after we stand it up, the reason these are leaning is when we stand it up to the proper proper height, they have to be exactly perpendicular with the plumb and level with the ground here. So with the table. Because the post that slide in, it's got to be fucking dead nuts plumb. So that's what I'm looking. That's why I'm doing this with my hands, just to make sure that, yeah, okay, this is pointing this way and this is pointing that way. So we're good. And it's hard to get a square in here because this is 2 inch, this is 2.5, so it's got a bit of a gap. So if it butts up against here, so I gotta put a piece here. Bigger than 1/2 inch, butt it up like this, and then now I can square it. Now the square will touch this surface here. Otherwise, this corner is going to be in the way, and it's going to be a gap between the square and everything. I guess you could measure it, but it's not as accurate as butting it up here, putting a spacer to bypass that little bump, and squaring it up that way. So, and right now I'm just making sure it's flush to the outside first before I clamp it. Butt it up against here, the angle's down, it's flush to the outside here. It's a bit of a gap, but it's okay. Here it's flush on the bottom side, it's a bit of a gap, but it's good enough to fill, so it's all okay. So it's flush to the outside. Okay, we can clamp it. I'm going to roughly check how square it is, so I know where to clamp it. Okay, so it needs to come in this way, so before I clamp it, usually do this with a clamp, but that's a rough idea to get me where I need to be. That's right there, it's pretty fucking close. Still, yeah, that's good enough. It's flush this way. Now I gotta see, I can't have a clamp here. I kind of fucked myself. Well, there's no way do it because I gotta put a square in here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna sketch squared up because I can't put a square in this gap. I got to put a square in this gap. And if I do that, maybe I can. No, I won't be able to get my square in there. So we're gonna square this first. Usually I clamp the square here, kind of attack it with a square, that I can move it in and out. This corner won't move, but because of the situation I just explained, we're gonna move this in here. Now this is dead nut square. It's flush here, it's square here. And these two front ones have to be shorter than the ones in the middle because this sticks out by 1/2 inch. It's easy when it's all sitting down in front of you, but when you figure it out in your head with no computers or anything, it's like, okay, am I going to get this right? Is the math going to work out or whatnot? So anyway, so far it's been working out. So it's pretty good. Now we just got to clamp this fucker. Before I clamp it all the way tight, clamp the other end. Clamp this pretty tight. I want to make sure it's a 6 foot wide frame, so let's see if it's 6 foot wide. Oh, we are a 16th over. That's okay, because we can fudge that up. That's no problem. We're 16th over 6 feet, so 1.6 mil. That's okay. It's just bang on square and it's bang on square. I don't want to. It's not worth it to 5 to 32 or whatever, right? A millimeter. So we're gonna leave it there. We're gonna clamp this end now. So I'm looking at side. It's gonna be 1'8". Inside 1'8". This side 1'8". This side. Okay, let's mark it out. up, and then it's on an angle this way. So the angle comes up, it comes up this towards me. That goes towards me, this goes towards me, and it's kind of like, yeah. I wish I had that in reach. Come on. I got it set perfectly right now. I can't really clamp this one because it's on an angle. I'm just going to tack it in place. I'm going to make sure I'm going to put one tack on this side, jump on the other side, put a tack, push them up against here, against these in the middle ones, and then tack it. Then I'm going to go around and tack the whole thing. And again, we're not welding anything yet, we're just tacking it. So once this is tacked, we take that, we flip it around, which is going to be a fucking nightmare because it's so heavy. We'll get to that when we get to it. Right now I'm just going to tack it in place. I'm going to tack the whole thing. Now it's not going to go anywhere, it's clamped. I'm going to tack this first, clamp the rest of the frame, and hopefully hope for the best. So here's the frame in completion. You can see that this kicks out that way. And we can see that this piece is kicking down. Not really any way to climb. It's pretty straight. Looks good. Looks pretty flush. And this piece is shorter than these pieces because this is what I was talking about. You can't really put a square here to square this up because there's at least a ½ inch, you know, from, because this is 2.5, this is 2 inch. So that's why I put a block here to bypass this. That way I can square this up right against it. And we can see that slight gap. I made that on purpose because otherwise I have to figure out and change the saw a whole bunch of times to get this degree, and I didn't want to do that. So that is more than weldable. So this is ½ an inch shorter than that one, and you can see it all lines up pretty well. Thankfully the math worked out, so that's pretty good. See, maybe I could squeeze that in a little bit, I'll see. But that's where we are right now. I'm going to tack the rest of it. So usually right now, because these frames have to get channels welded all across in 3 places. So 1, 2, 3, 3 in the middle, 3 at the very other end. But I can't put the channels in place until I weld this whole frame because the channels will interfere with all the joints and stuff like that. So I won't be able to get into some of the corners. So usually I got it clamped now. I would weld top side, kind of jumping back and forth. Then I would unclamp it, flip it, weld it again. Flip it again, weld it, flip it again, weld it till this whole frame is fully welded. Then I would fit and tack all the channels, then I would weld the channels out, and then this thing would then be complete. Then all I gotta do is, and usually, I don't know if you can see the back there, usually that frame would be standing there already fully welded as well. But it's not, everything is just gonna be tacked in place. Which kind of makes it a nuisance because I got it clamped, I might as well weld it, right? Then it's just extra work, but we want to make sure this thing actually is exactly straight and parallel and true once the 2 frames meet up and they stack on top of each other. So usually this will be welded, this will be welded, and all I got to do is put them together and just align the angle pieces, weld it all together, deburr it, and away it goes, right? And weld the lugs on it if there are lugs on it, if it's for sight. Last 2 frames I did, they didn't want the lifting lugs. So anyway, so I'm going to undo all the clamps, I'm going to flip it. This is pretty much done, and I'm gonna start fitting the 2 frames together. So you'll see that process. So let's go. This is what I was checking for before. The gap wasn't big enough, and I want to make sure that this is dead nuts plumb. Because you can see here, that's what we're working with. There's going to be a tube sliding in here, so it's got to be dead nuts plumb, otherwise the other frame won't catch on it. So off camera I fixed that one. I'm just cutting the tacks loose, putting a wedge in here. That gap is not big, it's insignificant. I can fill that no problem. Maybe just turn my wire feed up, probably will leave it the same. Just very slowly build it up, whipping back and forth. And I want to make sure that this is fucking straight and plumb, which it is. So we're good right now. Alright, I was humming and humming for a little bit. Something wasn't lining up, and it turns out I cut these a little bit too long. So they had to be, they were about 1/8 too long. So you can see we got open-ended pockets here. Off camera, I put an 1.5 inch piece in between these two pieces of 2-inch. Capped it all, capped it off, grounded it, put it in between. And now these, you can see here, it makes a nice little triangle from the top to this piece here. There are going to be 2 more here where this piece is going to come up 1 and 2 and then 3 and then 4 total. You see it makes a nice triangle there. Looks pretty good. And if we look down the side, oops, how do I focus here? If we look down the side, there exactly how it's supposed to be. And then this is 90 here, from here to here. It's perfectly 90. These are pretty plumb. And so just to demonstrate one more time here, I don't have the posts cut yet, but what essentially is going to be is the cut post with the plates and pine cones on top. I'm going to slide into here like so. You can see it's pretty parallel now. It's going to go up to length, up here. Up there's going to be a 6-inch with a pine cone as well to help taper and line it up. And that's an open end. That's an open end. So when this is cut to length, I got all the pine cone, all the puzzle piece together. Another one of these is just going to drop straight on top. So that's where we are. So this one is fitted. This is all tacked. So now I'm going to get the forklift, get it out of the shop, tack the next one, wait for the rest of my parts, and finish, and then contact the customer, confirm it with them that they're okay with how it looks and it is what they want. Maybe maybe we can, again, it's tax, so we might need to make some adjustments, but as far as I can see it now, it's pretty good. So we'll see you next time.